Okay, so now that you've learned to use the basics of R like a calculator and read in data sets, now it's time to work with the data. The tools that you'll learn here are going to be the foundation for everything else you can do in R. So first, I want to point out we're going over the Working with Data portion of your lecture notes, which will be on the Data Lab website as soon as the director puts it up there. And what I've done is I have already started a script file for this one. And just in case it's been a while since you watched the last video, the way that I created the script file is I did File, New Script, and on a Mac that would be File, New Document. And if you've already saved your script file to your desktop or downloads folder or wherever you want to save it, then you do File, Open Script next time you come in. So I'll demonstrate that at the end to show you how to shut down R. All right. So first, I have closed my computer in between the last video and this one, so I need to call our Diamonds data back in. And I want to point out that you can not only point your R console to a folder on your computer to retrieve data, you can also point it to a website that has data on it. So here, I'm going to point it right to our Data Lab website where it's located. And don't forget to always use the strings equals true argument when you're using the read.csv function in R this semester. All right, so I'm going to do Control R because my cursor is on that line, and if you're on a Mac, it would be Command Return. Notice down here in my console, it runs it. And remember that data set's big, so it's taking a minute to pull it in. And it'll take even longer than probably your computer because I am recording this, and that takes up a lot of my memory on my computer. So it's going to be just a second till it reads it in. In the meantime, I want to show you that also I've resized and moved these little windows around in my R console, and you can do the same thing. So it's easy to customize. Okay, so it looks like our data is read in because now we have the command prompt with the cursor at it. And remember, we always want to make sure it read in correctly. So we can use the structure function or the head function or the summary function. I'm going to use the structure function. And it looks like everything read in correctly. What I would deem to be categorical variables read in as factors. Remember, if that says character there, you forgot to put your strings equals true in your read.csv call. So everything looks like it read in correctly. Now let's get down to business and learn how to refer to a single column in that data set. All right, so in our data frame that we called Sparkly in R, let's say that I want to access the caret column. What you're going to do is you're going to say the name of the data set. This is one way to do it. The name of the data set, which we called Sparkly, $, the name of the column. And remember, it's case sensitive. So if we want to refer to the caret column, it's got to be all in lowercase because that's the way R has it named. All right, so I'm going to run this line and do the mean of that caret column. And there you go. It'll compute the mean of just that column for you. I could print that whole column, but it would be 53,940 numbers on the screen, which isn't particularly helpful to us. So I just did the mean to demonstrate. Now this next line of code is equivalent to the previous line of code. I can also refer to the caret column as the second column in the data frame. Notice that it's the second entry in our data set. It's the second column. So I can refer to it by its position in the columns. When I use the square brackets for a data frame, what you're going to put in there is the row number, comma, the column number. So rows first, columns second. If you leave one of those empty, like I left my rows empty before the comma, it says give me all the rows. So this tells me give me all the rows for the second column. So I can run this line of code by hitting Control R on a Mac, Command Return, and it does the same thing. And the last way I'm going to teach you to refer to a column, well actually there is one more way coming up, is to use the double square brackets. The double square brackets allow you to access an element of a list. And a data frame in R is actually a fancy list of lists. So this is another valid way to refer to a column in a data frame, to use the square brackets. So, and then the name of your column with a single or double quote. So I'm going to do Control R, Command Return, and we get the same thing. Now notice if I just try to access the column just by referring to the column name, it's going to throw an error, right? You have to tell it which data frame to look in, and then either which column or the name of the column. However, if I use the attach function, I'm going to do Control R. If I attach the object sparkly, the data frame sparkly, then I can refer to the column directly. I can just ask for the mean of the caret column. Okay? Now, be warned that attaching data can mess things up down the line if you, for instance, call in another data set and you attach that data set and it has the same column name, they both have the same column name, R won't know which one to pick and you won't know which one it's picking. So be very careful using the attach function if you are calling in multiple data sets that might have the same names. I use attach when I'm in a really big hurry and don't want to do a lot of typing. So that's probably the way you guys will use it too, but just be warned about that little caveat of it. Okay, now working within a specific row of a specific column. So we learned how to access the column, but we often want to pick out just a couple rows or one row of that column to be able to narrow down our data. So sparkly cut, let me just run just this little piece. If I highlight just that little piece, and I'm just going to copy it down here real quick. If I look at, let's say, the length of sparkly cut, what is that going to give me? Remember that our data frame had like 53,000 rows in it and 11 columns. Well, cut is one column in my data frame. So it's going to be like 53,000. It's going to have like 53,000 elements. So there we go, 53,940. So I just wanted to make sure you understood what that column is. So when you access sparkly $cut, you're getting all 53,940 entries in that column. So if I use this line of code, so up here, I'm up here now in my script editor. I do Control R up there, and I ask it for the second element of the cut column. It's just going to give me the entry in the second row of the cut column, and that's premium. And then it tells me the levels that are contained, the levels that are contained in that column. It has fair, good, ideal, premium, and very good. Okay. You can also do, I'm going to up arrow down here. You can also say I want elements 2 through 10. And you can just use your colon like we learned in a previous video. And it'll give you those elements. Okay. And notice here, the line starts with a 1 with square brackets, telling you that this line starts with, of output starts with the first observation, or the first piece of output. And the second line starts with the 8th piece of output. All right, I can do basically the same thing using my list notation to access an element of a list. I use this double square brackets, and then I'm just asking it for the second element of that list, of that column, of that list. Okay, and let's just take a look at just this piece, just to convince you. The length of that guy is 53,940. So I've just accessed the column of the data set called cut. And then if I want to access the second element of that column, I can just put the square brackets with the 2 behind it. All right, I hope that is clear. And then last but not least, I can use my row column number to access it. That's called indexing. I can use the row and column indexes to access that value. So I'm telling it here, give me the second row, third column. Oops, this is going to be, yeah, that's the second row, third column. All right, excellent. Okay. So now we are on to basics of subsetting. So this is the one that's going to take you some practice for sure. So up here, the last thing that we did was we accessed like a single element of a column, but we had to specifically name which element we wanted, right? We had to say rows 2 through 10 or whatever. Let's say that we want R to automatically subset and pick out those rows based on some criterion. Like, let's say we want to get the mean carat for only where the cut of the diamond is premium. Okay, we don't want to have to go and identify the row numbers manually where the cut is premium. We can automate that. R can automate that for us. So what we're going to do is first notice, remember, I can just get the mean of the carat column just by using that code. So mean of sparkly $carat. And it's still attached, so I could have just said mean of carat. That would work fine too right now. What we're doing is we're adding a piece after that column name inside the mean function. So what are we doing? Remember, these square brackets are how you subset. That's how you subset on some criterion. We used them before to specify row numbers and columns, but now we're going to specify a particular criterion so R can pick out the rows or columns. So this guy here, let me get the length of that for you. Oh, geez. There we go. The length of that is not 53,000 long. It's telling me that the length of the carat column only for premium diamonds is 13,791 long. Okay, and then we can just wrap the mean function around that little subset. Okay, so the way that you're going to read this line is give me the mean of the carat column where the cut is premium. Okay, so let me do that one more time. This line says give me the mean of the carat column only where the cut is premium. So in the square brackets, you could say only where or such that or whatever language you want to use in the English language. And as such, this line does the same thing. Okay, so we're saying the carat column of the sparkly data set subsetted on the premium cut diamonds. And then wrap the mean function around that. So I can just Control R and it gives me the same thing. Now you can also subset on multiple criterion, and you're going to have to do this in your learning our homework and in your case studies and all throughout the semester. So let's pay attention to what we're doing here. We are looking at the mean price, okay, so the average price for the sparkly data set. Only where the cut is premium and the table is bigger than 60. So remember from learning our logicals in the basics video, the ampersand sign is and the vertical bar is or. So here I'm telling it and. So let's go ahead and run this. Control R, and I'm getting 4,777.124. That's the mean price for premium diamonds that have a table size bigger than 60. All right. So hopefully that was clear. Now I want to finish this video out by, and remember, don't forget to practice that. So I want to finish this video out by reminding you that if you do attach a data set and you're going to call other ones in without starting a fresh R session, it's probably just a good idea to detach it so that it doesn't get confused with column names if you call in another data set with the same column name. So I'm going to just detach Sparkly, and that should take care of that. Now, I'm going to give you some guidance now on how to close out your R session. So if you're working on a project, you're going to have some code up here, and it's probably going to be pretty long, especially for the first one when you're trying to do a data visualization for project 1. So what you want to do is make sure you're clicked in your script file, and then you want to navigate up to File, Save As, and save it somewhere on your computer. So I'm just going to put mine on my desktop real quick. And I'm going to call it learningr.r. It's a .r file. So I'm going to give it the .r extension, and I'm just going to save it. Now I can close out that script file, and it will be there the next time I need it. So to close out your R session, grab the X for the whole R session, and you're going to get this little question. It says, do you want me to save the workspace image? If you say yes here, it does not save your lines of code. It only saves the objects that you have created. So I always say no here because I don't want to clutter my memory. I've got everything in my script file. I can run it in about 2 seconds flat by pulling up that script file again. So the next time that you open up R, you are simply going to, make sure you can see this in my recording window. You're going to do File, Open Script, and remember on a Mac it's Open Document. And then you can search for it, and mine's on my desktop. And then you double click it. Mine's taking a while to come up. There it comes. You double click it, and there are all the commands that you had saved. All right, so I hope this helps you. Good luck learning R. Visit office hours if you need help, but make sure you practice before you come. It can be kind of frustrating when you get error messages and you can't figure them out, but remember you've got lots of help. The data lab's going to open soon, and you've got me and our TAs as well.